nobody was getting back to me, and I was ringing his phone and ringing his phone and ringing it. And then eventually she called me and said, "I'm so sorry." I let out a noise that I've never even heard before. Something left my body that day. I was angry with him. Why would he ever leave me behind? Like, why can't I be where he is? And that's the thing you never want to hear. It's like, time's a healer, but it really is. You just need to know that in time, you're never going to feel 100% better, but you will start to feel better.
Hello and welcome back to Jill Spills, where this week we are spilling the tea on quite a sensitive and difficult subject, grief. I have my lovely friend here, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So, thank you for coming on, because this week we're going to be talking about grief, losing a parent,
Yeah.
which I have, you have, and probably many people listening have. So, grief obviously works in very different ways. We all deal with it very differently. So, I appreciate this could be quite difficult. So, talk to me about, you've lost your dad.
Yeah, 5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, and can I ask how?
So basically, he just one day he didn't turn up for work. He lived in Leicester, and I was actually sitting on the couch with our friend Sinead, and somebody called and said, "Oh, this is the only number we've got. Like, your dad's not turned up for work today." And actually, right there and then, I was like, the only way he wouldn't go to work and not message anybody would be if he was, dead. And then it was just all day worrying and da-da-da. And eventually I got somebody to go in and check. And basically, he just literally just dropped. He was running a bath and he just died.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that your first experience with grief?
No, no, definitely not. But somebody so close to me,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
And out of nowhere, I take it.
Yeah, it was just a massive shock.
What was your thought process like? What was you thinking at the time, or what can you think of what happened over the next few days?
When I found out, even though I'd known all day, so like,
What made you think that? What, just because it was so out of character?
yeah, that, and I feel like I just knew it, from the moment they said your dad's not gone to work. And then bless, like, Sinead was on the couch with me all day listening to me, and I'm like, it's just, I really think something's wrong, and then eventually a lady I got in touch with, she went and checked, and then I was waiting forever to hear, like, nobody was getting back to me, and I was ringing his phone and ringing his phone and ringing it. And then eventually she called me and said, "I'm so sorry, and the police are there, but I can see you're ringing his phone. Like, I just thought I should let you know." And then, it was just, I let out a noise that I've never even heard before, or like, just it was like something left my body that day, and it, like, at that moment, and it was just, yeah.
And you with mum, and do you have any siblings?
Yeah, my sister, but we've got different dads. So
Okay.
she was actually really, really brilliant throughout the whole time. Because obviously then I went straight to my mum's, and, you have a few days where you're just like, it's all a blur, really. You just don't really think about it. Like, you can't remember, like, what went on in them few days. But then because I was my dad's only daughter, he never remarried. So then it was like, right, you've got to do a funeral now.
Right.
And then, so that was that.
Do you mind me asking how old you were at the time?
So I was 33, I
Right.
think.
Okay. I mean, young.
Yeah.
That's a lot to have to deal with. Did you have a good support network?
Yeah, like I said, my sister was amazing. It was basically me and her. We just used to drive up and down to Leicester and try and, and then my friends who I lived with at home, they were just unreal at, like, putting up with me, really, because I wasn't in a good way.
What kind of got you through at the time? Was it just organising stuff? Did you, what were you reliant on at the time? Was it your mum, your sister?
Yeah, my sister a lot. And I think at that time, you're just so focused. Like, I had to sort out everything, all his bills, contact everybody, tell them that, finish it, he's not there anymore. And then it's just this big admin thing, and you've got to, and it's, nobody teaches you any of that, like, ever.
Yeah.
Like, you're like just thrown into it. You're just like, oh my gosh, you've got to do this now and do that now, and probate and all of this. So I feel like a big chunk is like that, and the run up to the funeral, and you're just on autopilot, really.
So do you think did you become quite numb to it for a while? Where do you think you've like grief really kicked
Oh
in?
no, it kicked in straight away. I
Did
was
it?
a mess. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was like a real although I was doing all these things, like I just still couldn't believe it and couldn't. It was the shock. The shock was massive.
Yeah.
And I think it just kept on, and I kept reliving it and reliving it and reliving it for.
What relationship? What was your relationship like with your dad?
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So he was just my best friend. So I think that was like the really hard thing as well, because you're just like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't understand why I was angry with him. I was like, how could he leave me? He'd never
Yeah.
leave me.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that kind of thing. And it was like, why would he ever leave me behind? Like, why can't I be where he is? Like, that was what it was like. I couldn't fathom that I couldn't be with him wherever he was, you know. And
Well, I think we think that we just assume our parents are going to live forever,
Yeah.
till they're old and grey, and
Exactly.
so I think when they're taken away from us sooner, it's something that you're trying to mentally get that around your head that they've gone, and then
Totally.
it's having to try and adjust
Yeah.
to life without them.
Yeah, and yeah, like you say, yeah, that's really difficult as well. It's all the little things, I think, like you know, like you say, TV shows that we watched. If there's a new season, and I'm like, oh, I must tell my dad about that, and then they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't. You know, it's like little things like that, and I think that's the stuff that never sort of will ever go away. Maybe.
Was you able to talk about how you felt, or did you feel you was able to talk about how you felt, or did you feel? I know when I lost mine, sometimes you felt it was stupid because it felt like a stupid feeling.
Yeah, and I think it's that thing, isn't it, when somebody first dies and everybody rallies round you, and you know you've got all this, you know, everybody's like, "How are you? Let me know if you need," you know, and everybody's there. But then they have to go back to their real life.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like as soon as the
whereas-
funeral's finished, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
and
like
then you're
everyone just
like-
goes back.
You're like, but I'm still really, really sad, and
Yeah.
then you feel like a burden. You don't want to keep saying to people like, "I feel terrible. I feel terrible. I feel terrible." You know.
So do you think you just tried to carry on with life as normal, even though you felt that maybe you wasn't ready to?
I did and I didn't, but I'd say for a good year, I was just not in a good place at all. My friends can vouch for that. They were worried about me, and I just, in my head, I just did not see the point in me walking around on this earth anymore if I didn't have
So I was
him.
going to ask you that. I mean, what
Yeah.
was you feeling?
Yeah,
When you
that-
say you were bad, like what are we talking about?
Like, I just did not want to be here at all. And every day I'd just be like, this is so pointless. This is so, you know, like, and it was awful. It was like self-torture. I was just like all the time. But obviously still getting on, you know, you have to go to work and do this and do that. But just always feeling just so bad.
Did your mum or your sister know how you felt?
My sister definitely. Yeah, they did. They did to a point. But, you know, I suppose you only... You know, I'd say my friends probably saw it more because they saw me getting in a state and, you know,
Yeah.
drinking too much, crying my eyes out, you know, just all of it was just, yeah, just quite full on. And they were so good and there for me and amazing. So, yeah.
So what do you think, did you get to a point where you were able to talk to someone like professionally about it? Have you ever discussed,
Yes,
or is it
and
always something
no.
you feel like you still haven't been able to really fully
Yeah,
open up?
yeah, probably. I don't think I've got. So when it first happened, I was put on through to somebody that I could go and speak to, like a grief counselor kind of person. But I feel like it was just far too early. I just was not in the right. I just turned up there, cried for half an hour, and left. And I just felt like this is awful.
Yeah.
Like, so I think I didn't obviously time it right, and then after that, you're like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I can, you know. But I think now, as time goes on, I think I've just learned ways to deal with it myself anyway, you know. And
Is there a certain, obviously like birthdays, or is there certain things where it all comes rushing back?
yeah, I think because my dad died like literally 10 days after my own birthday. So I even dread now like my own birthday
Right.
because I feel like then it's that countdown to the day that
Yeah.
he passed away. And then, yeah, and I notice I get much more, you know, down and, you know, you think about him more and
Do you try and find ways of dealing with it better as the year goes on? Do you try and think, right, okay, I'll turn this into a positive and do something that he might have loved doing with you?
and I've done that before. He'd found this stamp collection up in my mum's loft years and years ago, and then I found it again. And I remember I took it to the actual stamp shop place in London, and then like got it. I still need to go actually and like put it up for auction. It's actually worth quite a few quid. But like I did that on his anniversary one
Yeah.
day, and I was like, it's such a nice thing because he would have done that with me, and it would have been really fun, and so.
So when you went through your grief, and as you say, probably there's still parts of it that are still kind of locked away. Did you find getting support or finding people to talk to, not necessarily with close friends, but was there people there that you were able to reach out to? You felt you could talk, or have you felt that you wasn't able to really open up?
Yeah, and I think and I've done that thing where I've referred myself to like the mental health people on the NHS, but that's always a funny thing because it's always this sort of, when you say you might make the referral and then you're waiting for this call, and then when the call comes, you're like, do you know what? Actually, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then you just can't open up, and I think that's a really difficult side to it. But yeah.
So do you think if the system, and obviously there's a lot of people that are probably dealing with grief, and as I say, everyone's doing it in different ways, but do you think if the system you could access it a little bit quicker, do you think you would have opened up a lot sooner, or you would be a bit more susceptible?
Possibly. I think if there was an easier avenue to get that specific kind of help, rather than the sort of bog standard thing that you have to go through, and the waiting, and the like the red tape and this and that, I think if there was like an easier route where you could just get the help that you need at that time, it would be good.
How do you think grief had affected you physically and mentally? Did you see a massive shift in like the way you looked at things?
Oh yeah, I feel like now I'm a completely different person. Like to
In what
before.
way?
I don't know. I think I just look at things a lot differently, and especially the whole like, I could be gone tomorrow. I think especially that thing, knowing that you can literally be here today, gone tomorrow, and then that made me change my whole mindset on stuff. And I remember driving back, my auntie, my dad's sister, died not long after him, and I was driving back from her funeral, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you need to get yourself in shape. Like, and my dad was really into his fitness before he passed away. And I remember sitting there being like, bloody hell, because I just...
So you didn't do fitness before?
I wasn't interested at all. And then I just thought on my way home, I was like, what are you doing? Like, it's important, And then I was like, and then I got into that. And then, then it made me, obviously, that's a massive thing for like making your mood better and just everything,
And do you think getting into fitness did help you?
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. It was brilliant.
Do you think it helped with your outlook a bit more of like, it's worth like living, like you say, and changing ways,
and feeling better and having goals, and smashing these goals, and and you feel, there's never a time when you leave the gym and think, oh gosh, I wish I never did that, like you always feel good. So it's a brilliant, your mood is just lifted in general. So
do you think your dad have been pleased that you got into fitness?
Yeah, 100%. I always think that. I'm like, oh, he would have loved that.
Do you think if you think about that drives you of...
Oh yeah, definitely. And lots that you do now, like I do, you're just like, and sometimes it's a bit like sad because you're just like, gosh, I wish he could see this, or he could see what I'm doing now, but
how's it affect you with how you look and feel with like your mum? Because obviously losing one parent, do you feel...
I mean, I know for you it's, you've obviously lost both parents, and I notice now when I see her, I think, oh God, she's looking a bit older now, and like, and just thinking about her age and stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, how's that happened? And yeah, you worry, and you're like, what's going to happen, And
do you think your relationship with your mum and your sister, with losing your dad? I know you're saying your sister, not the same dad, but did it change the dynamic of your family losing someone so close?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think there was a part, I remember, I think my mum sort of thinks, I remember she was just like, I know I'll never be to you what your dad was, kind of thing. Like, and I feel bad because I felt bad for her for that, to think that, because she's everything, she's brought me up, and, but Yeah, I was glad then though that I knew that she felt like that, because I feel like
Yeah,
now I can make much more effort for her to not feel like that. That was
yeah.
never my intention. So,
What advice would you get from your dad now? If he was here now, what would you want him to help you with?
but this is the thing. If I just got out of bed, he'd tell me it was brilliant. I'd done a great job. So like he was just one of them people. He was just really happy with anything that I did. So,
Right.
but I think my biggest thing is just literally missing chatting to him. We'd chat for hours, absolute rubbish.
He's like your best mate.
Yeah. So yeah, that was that really, and yeah.
Do you wish you could have? Do you have that same relationship with your mum?
No.
No.
No, and it's not because it's just not the same. He was more like we were just more similar. Like we were just very similar in character. We liked the same sort of things, and so
Do you still feel angry from what happened?
not angry. I can't be angry. Like you can't be, and and the more knowing my dad, that's the perfect way for him to go. Like he would have loved that. Because he didn't have
Yeah.
to suffer. And even my mum had said to me, what would you have done really? You would, if he'd have got really old and sick, and you would have uprooted everything, gone to stay with him, look after him. Like it would have been really tough.
Yeah.
So so I feel like really it's probably the best possible way. It's way too early, but
Do you think, obviously, as I say, grief works in such mysterious ways for different people, and it comes and goes in waves. How do you feel when, with obviously our friendship group, there has been losses, and do you get that wave of grief for yourself coming back, and do you allow that to happen, or do you try and suppress it?
well, yeah, like obviously last year Megan's our other friend, her dad passed away, and I was there, and I heard that sound come out of her body, and then I knew.
Yeah.
And it was really strange because it was like looking back at myself like 5 years ago, just everything she was saying. And that was the only time that it really brought everything back up for me. And I was like, wow, So it was very strange. It was a really strange feeling. And I felt like I wanted to be there for her so badly, but also like I was like, I've got to get her gone to her mum's.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
can't take this anymore.
Do you think, in a weird way, going through the grief that you've gone through, and then when someone else is going through it, it's almost like you can relate?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And what do you think that you can do to help,
I think
or
it's
you
just,
could help in that situation?
I think you know how the person's feeling. It's because it is one of them things, you imagine how it will feel. You always like, oh, and you feel terrible when you hear it about other people, but until it's happened to you,
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, wow, like, and then then I feel like then you can be just helpful. And I think it's just nice when you know somebody who's been through the same as you.
Yeah, they kind of have that
Yeah,
understanding.
yeah, and you can just be there for them, and understand when they're feeling really rubbish, and understand that and let them know that it's okay to still feel terrible about it, or
So how, at this moment in time, do you feel now about it? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel there's still more to be unlocked? Do you feel you've said everything that you've had to say and feel, or
probably not. I'd say, like I said, I think it's something that there's like a part of you missing now, and but then I don't know what how much talking about it is going to make anything. I don't really know. I'm still on my own journey with it, really. So
do you still think there's still you've still got some guards up? Do you
Oh,
think that there's
probably.
still there's to that point where you just haven't fully grieved, so to speak?
maybe there could be a element of that.
Are you scared too?
I don't know. Not scared per se, but maybe, yeah. I suppose, yeah, you do. You don't want to feel that feeling ever again that
Yeah.
you felt at that time.
Yeah.
So I suppose, yeah, and I suppose there's that sort of fear as if you get deep into it again, it's just gonna dredge it all up.
Yeah, so there's an element of avoiding
Yeah,
it because
yeah,
it's easier.
probably. Oh yeah, definitely.
Where would you say, through the journey from when your dad passed to now, as you say, ups and downs, was there a point where you had a real, like, was the worst moment? Not necessarily after he died, like, because sometimes it can happen
Um,
further down the line. Was there something at another point in your life that you just, it was like,
I
I can't.
struggled in lockdown. That was just because it was such a tough time as it was. I feel like I had so much time to think about it then.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was like a year after he died. So that was
Yeah, that's
quite a hard
because we were
time.
isolated enough as it was.
And it was just the whole thing. It was just a strange time for everybody. And
What did you do to deal with it?
well, then I actually joined the F45 challenge.
Good old F45.
Yeah, and then
So realistically, fitness has helped.
really, yeah, massively helped. Massively, it
Yeah.
was the best thing that I could have ever done.
Mentally as well.
Yeah, mentally.
Do you almost think that was kind of the fitness? If you didn't have that, do you think you could put yourself in a position where you think I could have been in a different place?
Yeah, I don't even like to think about it because with joining that gym and everything has come like friendships that mean absolutely everything to me now, and I just don't know where I'd be without like you and all the girls, and
We have a very good close network.
yeah. So it's all of that, all of the good things has come from that. So.
Yeah,
And I'd
yeah.
say that's been definitely a massive saving grace for me.
From your own personal experience, what advice could you give to someone if they've just lost someone or they don't feel they can talk about it? What would you suggest? Not necessarily saying it's the right thing for everybody, but what would you say that
I'd
could just help a
say
little bit?
Be kind to yourself. Time, and that's the thing you never want to hear is like time's a healer,
Yeah.
but it really is. And
Yeah.
you just need to get over that. You just need to know that in time you're never going to feel 100% better, but you will start to feel better and be able to deal with things a lot easier. But I think it's just that you have to ride out that horrible bit.
Yeah.
And because nothing can stop that.
No.
So-
no, I agree.
Yeah, and then and then rebuild yourself up.
Do you find yourself that even now you do funny little things that you like, you check your phone for something, or you go to something that was your dad's, or
Oh yeah,
or you do something that was routine that you did with him?
Well, yeah, or my thing's often just wanting to call him or message
Yes,
him.
yeah.
Like I'll think of something and I'll be like, oh God, yeah, I must tell my dad, and then I'm like, and then it's that. I don't think that'll ever go away.
Do you do that? I know with my dad, I would do things like he'd always love fish and chips. So on his birthday, we'd have fish and chips.
yeah.
Do you do anything like that for your dad? Certain things you eat or a certain drink?
Not really, but no. But one thing I used to go up to his, and he had a Morrison's across the road, so I used to get a massive trifle just for me for the whole weekend. So anytime I eat a trifle now, that's what I
But it's
think of.
comfort. It gives you good memories.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think there's any harm in doing things like that,
No.
because if that's what gives you comfort and that's what makes you smile.
Yeah, and things like because he used to come to London and we do trips out and stuff like that. I've not actually. So we used to always go to Winter Wonderland, but I've actually still never been back since he
Really?
passed away. Yeah, and now I feel like I don't really need to. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back one day, but yeah,
Maybe you feel that was yours and
it
his
was.
kind
Yeah,
of
it was our
time, and
thing. Yeah.
you don't want maybe someone to replace that.
Yeah. So.
Did you guys have like a favourite song? Like,
Oh, we had loads of favourite songs. Loads.
did you?
Yeah.
If you had to pick one,
It's called Caravan of Love by the House
oh
Martins.
yeah.
We used to love it. We used to take the mick out, but we used to like always sing it. So yeah, that was like a really nice. I played it at his funeral.
Do you think you're more accepting with what's happened, that as those years are passing by, you are finding it easier? Do you feel that it's something you just will never be able to get? Like, would you always feel that grief and that kind of heaviness will always be with you?
Yeah, I feel like it's like this badge or whatever that you'll always wear, but you just have to learn to live with it. It's just an extra thing that you have to carry around, I think, because it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no changing it, and I think you're always going to feel a certain way about it. So I think you just have to learn to deal with your life with this extra feeling that you have now.
Yeah.
So,
And also try and enjoy,
yeah, and
I
enjoy,
suppose, the good.
the good things, yeah, because you're still here, you know, so you
Yeah.
have to make the most of it.
Are you glad that you kind of got out of that grief to that mental state of, I don't know what's the point, what's worth?
Oh, yeah.
Are you? I know it sounds like a silly question, but at the time it was enough. But do you sometimes, now you're talking about it, do you think, wow, I was in such a dark place?
Oh, 100%.
Like that grief got me so bad that I was willing not to carry on.
Yeah, and then I would have missed out on so much stuff that I've done now.
What made you not do it? Like, not saying you were going, but what made you think, right, okay, I've got to get on with life. This is what Dad would have wanted.
Yeah, and also I was like, I've got a cat. So it's like, I can't just leave the cat. Who's going to feed her? And then obviously my sister and my mum, like I could
Yeah.
never put them through something so awful. Yeah, so it was
Because are
mostly
you
that.
thinking because you don't want them to feel the pain that you felt?
Yeah, or any type that I would never want to make anybody feel terrible. But that was it. They were my main factors, especially
Yeah.
the cat.
The cat. Good old cat. You got to love your pets.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know that was probably quite difficult for you, and I'm really glad that you opened up and really open and honest. And yeah, you know, we're all here
Yeah,
for you
I know.
as always.
Love you guys.
And the cat is still with us as
Yeah.
well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been really,
Pleasure.
really nice.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.